Hello, hello, hello. Here we are, live from Santo Domingo, República Dominicana. How are you all doing this evening? The topic at hand is an oldie but very goodie. And this is the question that many fans have I'm sure you've all heard this theory. It's a rather famous one, but because I think most fans agree, most people that read the book agree, Missandei is weird. Missandei is a really, really weird character. There's a lot of things that point to her being a weird character. And the question is, could she actually be a faceless man? Now, this came about because in the fanfic, Quentin has run into Missandei along with Strong Belwas, and really, I see this character Quentin going off and being followed by Belwas and Missandei, that they will be part of his posse from now on. And the question was, there's this question of whether or not Missandei could perhaps try to get closer to Quentin by seducing him. And this, of course, provokes the ew, she's a little girl attitude from people. But at the same time, like, it is very clear that the fandom has theories about who she is. There are some theories that she is a child of the forest, which would also make her very, very old. But the other one, there's a large one that she is a faceless man. And that if she is a faceless man, she's not a little kid and she can seduce whoever she wants. And Quentin can have sex with her or whatever we're going to do with the characters, because she's not that young. Now, how does the why? Let's review why people think that she is a faceless man. Well, first of all, Missandei, it says in the middle of A Dance with Dragons that she's turned 11. So the idea is that throughout Storm of Swords and maybe the first part of A Dance with Dragons, that she's 10 years old. And I think she knows 12 languages. Now, this is a tough kind of situation, because on the one hand, in the real world, no, there's no way. There's no way that a 10-year-old child would know 12 languages. I understand that you can find people that live in, specifically African communities where they're using up to maybe 5 or 6 languages at one time, and that children are very good at acquiring languages. And so that maybe you could, through daily use, because you have a very integrated community with many languages going, English and French and Ewe and Ashanti or whatever you're doing, and you could get up to maybe 5 or 6 at most. Like, that's the peak. And I'm talking like workable level. I'm talking like, you can talk about the eggplant at the market look pretty good. That kind of stuff. Like, really basic stuff. Now, Missandei seems to know at least the common tongue in High Valyrian a lot better than that. But the thing about language is it takes constant practice and upkeep. And there's this, this idea that you could learn 12 languages by the age of 10. That's just like ridiculous. In fact, having 12 languages, period, as an adult is probably impossible. And that's also the problem here, is that in fiction, writers, they love to have people know multiple languages and have it be super easy. And it's just not the case in real life. Like, languages are really hard, but they always have a character that's like, oh, he's fluent in 6 languages. You're like, no, that's really stupid. But, it's like a fighter taking on 20 ninjas. Like, we just kind of accept it because it's fiction. So her knowing all of these languages at such a young age, the problem is that is that fiction is dumb like that. You know, it's always been dumb like that. You know, people waking up from comas after years and having no brain damage and stuff. So it's one of those tropes in fiction that we kind of have to go, maybe. Um, and the problem as well is that the characters in story seem to accept it. Like they employ her, like Krasni's employs her as a interpreter. So he seems to not think that's weird. Like in the real world, if I wanted an interpreter, there's no way I'm picking a 10-year-old kid. Like there's just no, I don't care if you're like, no, well, she's really good and she knows 12 languages. I'd be like, I do not care. There's no way a 10-year-old kid is going to be my interpreter. Like we're going to be talking about all sorts of complicated things. We're going to talk about like, you know, slave prices and economics and trade. What? No. So it's weird that the characters in story just accept it. Oh yeah, I've got a 10-year-old interpreter. Oh yeah, that's completely normal. Okay. Now related to that, we do know that at the House of Black and White, they train in languages, and Arya is training in many, many languages. And so that kind of says, okay, well, they're crazy in languages, but you know, they're coming from this like house that does it, right? And of course, we have the character of the waif who looks like she's 10 and is actually 36. And so, you know, when we have Missandei also being 10, you know, that being a situation, that maybe she's actually older. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other weird stuff. She sneaks up on Barristan a couple times. That's very weird. Like she's just there. You know, Dungeon Master, where'd you go? You know, it's that. I don't know if you guys ever watched Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. The Dungeon Master would just appear and disappear, and it would be like, Dungeon Master, where'd you go? Like Batman. She hears weird scratches from the dragons. That she hears these scratches, and Dany's like, oh, the Astapor people are like far away, and she's like, oh, I hear them, and she hears the scratching from the dragons. And there's a point in which there's a banquet and everybody's loud, and Dany says please, and no one hears her because they're all screaming except for Missandei. You know, so Missandei has really weird hearing. That's not necessarily something from the House of Black and White. I mean, we kind of get it with Arya going blind and needing to enhance their other senses. So, you know, maybe Missandei has enhanced hearing senses from a period of blindness or something. Anyway, people comment on several occasions that she's wise beyond her years. Dany says it a few times. Barristan says it at least once. She's talking about all sorts of subjects that are way past a 10-year-old. Then there's the questions of Nath and where she's from, and people getting sick every time they come there. And it's like, well, you know, are they getting sick from the butterflies or whatever disease, or are they actually getting poisoned? But if she knows they're poisoning from Nath, that goes against the Faceless Man idea. So, but she's super interested in old scrolls. She's doing like Master of Whisper kind of gossip. And then one of the big things that people point to is that her story doesn't check out. Her story doesn't check out in that Missandei says she remembers Nath. And she also claims to have a couple brothers who are unsullied. Okay, older brothers who are unsullied. So if she has memories of Nath, she left Nath after say the age of 4 or 5, because you can't have memories before about the age of 4. But then her brothers are unsullied. One is a full unsullied, like you went through all of the training. And we know that that unsullied training starts at age 5. And when Dany sees her soldiers, they're between the completed soldiers, they're between the ages of 14 and 20. Which means that's a 9-year process for becoming an unsullied, at least. So the math doesn't add up. Like She can't remember Nath and have a brother who's a full Unsullied. There's something wrong there because she only has about 5 years to get to that point, and instead it's he's a full Unsullied. So all of that really makes Missandei look suspicious. The things that make her look like a faceless man is the languages, the fact that that she looks young and could be older, the fact that she can sneak around, the fact that she has greater hearing. Also, and I'm bringing it now, she does say Valar Morghulis in A Storm of Swords. Now, later, other people start saying all men must die. They do. But an important aspect of George that I've been discovering and exploring more in the past couple of years is that George, when something's in his mind and he's writing one chapter at one time, those ideas transfer to other chapters, other things that he's writing. And if you've been watching my Dunk and Egg stuff, it's when you look at Dunk and Egg and you realize that he's writing about Arya being a small child around the age of 9 or 10 who's cut her hair to look common born, and then you're like, oh, that's actually Egg, and he's writing those stories at the same fucking time. You're like, oh, he's taking those ideas from each other. When at the beginning of A Clash of Kings, there's this entire section about Maester Aemon's family that has no purpose in the story whatsoever. Maester Aemon's not even a character in A Clash of Kings, but for some reason, all the characters decide to sit around and talk about Maester Aemon's family tree. Because he was writing fucking Dunk and Egg at the same time. So you can look at the Valar Morghulis idea was only Arya has been saying Valar Morghulis and Faceless Men up through A Storm of Swords, and then Missandei says it. And so it must at least be on George R. R. Martin's mind that he wants us to at least think about it. He might want us to think about the children before us, but he definitely, whether she is a faceless man or not, I think it's very clear that he wants us to suspect that she's a faceless man. The pure fact that she says Valar Morghulis in this world where the only people who have said Valar Morghulis at this point are faceless men, points to that. But the other thing is about Missandei's backstory. Missandei's backstory is mostly established in the early Dany chapters. Dany 2 is the big one. And when you look at George R. R. Martin's writing timeline, it doesn't line up perfectly. There's half a year between writing about the waif's backstory and the waif talking about her age and the Missandei backstory. It doesn't line up perfectly, but it's definitely, it's not A Dance with Dragons is written over a period of 10, 11 years. So when you say he was writing about the waif and Missandei and their backstories and their abilities and the waif being old for how she looks, when they're writing that within about in the same kind of year, it's still suspicious. I think that he was definitely George was definitely keeping it in his mind that there's something weird about Missandei. He was writing that material around the same time as he was writing the waif, when we talk about her background and the waif's background and what the waif's ability is. Those two things just kind of are interchangeable. And the fact that she says Valar Morghulis in the middle of a book where the only people who have been said Valar Morghulis is Arya and Faceless Men. So all in all, I don't think Missandei being a faceless man is a crackpot theory at all. I think George was very specifically trying to make us think that That I think that's intentional. Now maybe it's a red herring. It very well could be a red herring. Might be a mystery box. It might be one of those things where he's like, I'm gonna put this in, and maybe later on it'll come out. Maybe it's later on I'll do something with it. Maybe I won't. But I think he definitely put it in there intentionally. Um, and Yeah, so I don't think it's a crackpot. I don't think it's crackpot theory at all. I think it's rather intentional that he put it in there like that. So we'll see. We'll see about those two things going forward in the fanfic. A lot of people ask if she is a faceless man, how is she in the right place at the right time with Danny so perfectly? Because Danny does turn into Slaver's Bay spontaneously. She just decides to do it. Maybe a dream sender sent her something to cause her to do it. It seemed like it was Jorah Mormont's like influence, but he just couldn't. And then Danny has a prophetic dream, some dream kind of stuff that makes her suddenly kind of go nuts and want to kill everybody, and take the army. So somehow she got really lucky. So some people say, well, she's a faceless man. She's a very fortunate faceless man to stumble into it. However, if you think about it, isn't Jaqen H'ghar like just as fortunate to stumble upon Arya Stark? Like he just happens to be stumbling upon a girl who has, telepathic abilities and a deep desire for revenge. There's a lot of coincidences in stories. You could also say that Missandei was actually there and was put in there to try to get close to the Corsair King, who could be Euron, and that was the reason she was there. Or it may be that faceless men are everywhere; they're all over the fucking place, and so one of them's going to run into her. It just happened to be Missandei. Maybe the faceless men are in every fucking port, and they're always attaching themselves to important people. Maybe they're fucking everywhere. It's just Missandei was the one. So we'll see. We'll see. Let me know if you guys have any kind of ideas about this, and how crazy or not you think Missandei being a faceless man would be. But nonetheless, I think it's an interesting story to have her getting close and infiltrating Quentin. This is a weird question. Is Stannis inspired in part by Nixon? I've never seen anything where George R. R. Martin talks about this sort of thing. I will say that I do remember that George had an interview where he talked about Nixon being a horrible president, but at the same time gave him props about like opening China, which, knowing a lot about that diplomatic mission, it's that Nixon's mission was maybe mostly luck or something that Mao just wanted, and that they kind of stumbled into it. But this idea that, I suppose, like, is Stannis like Nixon? I don't know if Stannis is like Nixon. Stannis is such a contradiction because all the characters around him say, "Oh, he's so rigid and only cares about justice and things like that." And then you see him in the story, and he's such a hypocrite, and he's so flexible, and he does whatever. He's like, one day he's a fucking Faith of the Seven worshiper, and then one day he's a Red God worshiper, and then he's appeasing people with the old gods, and he just does whatever. And so you don't know if it's like, is that sort of contradiction George's point, or is he stumbling into it? I don't think at least I don't think George thought about it. I mean, at least not on a conscious level. I've never heard him talk about those two things together. Um, but um, like, I mean, Nixon and the China trip, like it was like him and Kissinger were just completely unprepared. They just went in, they had no expertise, no background, and it turned out really well. And it was just kind of stumbling into it. I don't know if that's Stannis. Like Stannis does plan and he has a massive amount of knowledge, and he's I don't know if how paranoid. Like Stannis has a lot of faults, but I don't know if paranoia is one of them. I don't know if Stannis is sitting around being like everybody's against me. I've got to spy on everybody. Like that's not exactly Stannis. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I've never heard it. I've never, and they seem rather different to me personally. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something. Um, Game of Thrones unraveled after deviating in season 4 to 6. Um, how would you structure the seasons faithfully? Adapt and the fanfic. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how well the how how if it were possible. I think pacing wise, like, do I agree with some of the things they did, like leaving Bran out of season 5? Yeah, probably. Like I guess they had to do that sort of thing, like delaying the Ironborn plot. Like I would have had the Ironborn plot at least come in and be like the season finale, have the Kingsmoot be the season finale or something like that. But I don't know if. I mean, I think there's a lot of problems from season 4 on to 8, but um, like the repeat of season 5 and 6, like season 6 is a Groundhog's Day of season 5, and it seems like they were killing time because they thought that maybe um, the Winds of Winter would come out, and so they were kind of just like slowing everything down. But I don't know. I mean, how would I have structured it different? I guess I would have. It's hindsight is 2020, but I guess I would have had seasons 5 and 6 more merged, and then you could have more time with season 7 and season 8 to stretch it out, something like that. But because season 5 and 6, like it was the same thing twice. We had a battle for the North twice. We had a battle for Marine twice. We had the we had the Sparrows hanging out doing stuff for 2 seasons. It was the big thing is I would have combined season 5 and 6 and then had more time for seasons 7 and 8 if I were kind of doing that kind of stuff. Um, Long way off, but visualizing Aegon parading through King's Landing, cloth dragon on poles, crowd cheers, touch spreads grayscale. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What would be the way to go about it. Um, it's it, I'm not sure. Like obviously we need to have um, Cersei's trial by combat happen before Aegon can invade. Um, so it's like there needs to be something slowing him down. But after that, I think Aegon invades and takes control of Westeros pretty soon. Like I think as he heads north, maybe he could hang out at Storm's End for a while and send ravens, slow it down so that Cersei can have her trial. But after that, I think he's taking King's Landing pretty quick, and then Cersei escapes, and then we can have probably some cloth dragons on poles. It all kind of works out. But the grayscale. I don't know. There's a lot of different ideas people have had on grayscale. Like maybe have the ravens spread it or something. But is it how much of an epidemic does it need to be? Does it need to be just um, King's Landing? Somebody in a celebration grabs onto to John Con, And then boom, the whole city has it. On the topic of Missandei, definitely Order of the Green Hand masterpiece. Oh, but double agent for the Spicers Guild. Sometimes I like to imagine George could expand the story, no ending near in sight. Um, yeah, I don't know if George actually had any background on who the Guild of Spicers were or any of that. I think he was just kind of like writing stuff. Um, um, Despite previous videos I've had on trying to figure out some detail behind them. But yeah, I think it's easier to just write in an expanding story than it is to try to collapse and bring in all the characters and figure out what to do with them. I think it's a crutch that George does to say, oh, while I'm at it, like let's talk about guy in the corner and his family and create another um, uh, rabbit hole. Because I mean, we all read A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons. It's a lot of that, you know. The Dreams of Ghosts and Indians was great. Read it, Dune Messiah, and played Xenoblade this month. My maze, but entirely about people in wide open spaces discussing religion. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yes, the Dreams of Ghosts and Indians. It's not. I realize it's not a very traditional novel. It's no one dies. Maybe one person dies in the book. It's a lot of discussion. It's a lot of people talking, and you know, trying to make that close to life. Because what is life? Life is just kind of a bunch of people talking. Life is kind of just a bunch of people sitting around philosophizing, going into details about stuff, analyzing stuff, and you know, the that's the journey, the journey. But yeah, but thank you. I do really appreciate it. And anybody else out there who hasn't gotten the Dreams of Ghosts and Indians, it's a yeah, I don't tell you guys to do very much. I never tell you guys to ring that bell. I never tell you guys like and subscribe. Never tell you to do any of this shit. So I'm just saying, pick up a copy of The Dreams of Ghosts and Indians. That'll make me feel nice. um, Greetings from the Crosters Village, El Bolson. Ideal Asha weather. Oh, interesting. And here's his spoilers. The Bard, Ario Hota. Yeah, I'm thinking about having Ario Hota be kind of a storyteller chapter. Ratcatcher, Quentin, having all of these people follow him. Risen, Aaron. Aaron. In my mind, he's not dead yet. He's got a big story. The dwarf with Sam. Aaron dies. No, Aaron. One to reclaim the name. I'm not having Aaron die yet. He has a very important role to play in the fanfic, and so I know a lot of people think that this is a good place to cut down on some characters and let's kill off Aaron, but I think Aaron has a very important role going forward, and so he's going to be alive and he is going to be in Starfall. Starfall with Aaron later on, because somebody's got to fucking go to Starfall. Because I mean, when you look at the characters, it's either there's just not enough time. There's just not enough time in story for many of the characters to get to places or reasons for people to get to places, right? And so considering that like Dany and her dragons and the other dragons probably won't be arriving at Westeros. That's fast transportation, fast locomotion is what we're talking about here. Their fast locomotion isn't arriving until the end of the book. So like, who's going to make it to Starfall? We've got three characters that can possibly do it: Sam, Ario, and Aaron. And so you got your choice, Um, it's just, I mean, Sam's gotta. I think Sam's probably gotta escape and go to Horn Hill, Hota, maybe, but it's he doesn't have too much motivation to talk about. I don't know, various things. I don't know, but I have an idea with Aaron on like what he can do in Starfall, and that would be very significant. Um, and so he's going to be the one. Plus, it's such the contrast is the thing, right? Starfall in our minds is this like beautiful, magical medieval kingdom of like beautiful people. And then you have this fucking rat of a person, like this rat wash up who thinks all of these beautiful people are a bunch of infidels. And it's just the contrast is just so perfect. So it's got to be Aaron and Starfall. And that's where we get to see it. Um, oh, could the Faceless Man be in Missandei like they abandoned their order and they're living in as another person? That's interesting. Like what happens to the ex Faceless Men? Um, I like she escaped and she can tell her story. That makes it even more of a coincidence that she runs into Danny though, right? Like at least with the Faceless Men, it's like they've got people at different outposts like watching, and then they get involved with like very important people, you know, um, something like that. Um, so if she's just like an ex Faceless Man, like what a coincidence! What a coincidence that she ends up in Danny's inner circle. Um, mm, mm, mm. Mel gets with Bloodraven. Man, that is I don't know how he's getting that dusty penis to work. Um, I mean, my idea would be, I mean, I always talk about him being like dry and like barely like holding it together. Like she would mount him and his penis would just like crush like you know how like after you burn paper and you just have that very fragile um thin layer of ash, and then it just kind of like blows away. Like that's how I see his dick. the mm, 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 mm. What about 12 languages that are very similar? Obviously, that's going to help, but I don't know if we hear anything about. She at least knows Common, which is completely different from High Valyrian, which is completely different from Yaskari. So she at least knows that. But maybe the other 12, they're like, oh, well, she knows 12 languages. She knows Valentine High Valyrian. She knows Tyrashi High Valyrian. She knows. That's the thing is where are these 12 languages? Like, because they call them dialects. He calls them like Tyrion calls them dialects rather than languages. He says dialects on their way to becoming languages. So I mean, maybe she's bragging when she says 12 languages. Um, so but it's they did make the dialect distinction, but not that there's in real life the difference between a language and a dialect is obviously a matter of opinion. So maybe that's it. Like the 12 she just it's all the free cities of High Valyrian. Hmm. Um Danny knows 4 languages. That's insanely impressive for an adult. Yeah, it's true. Um, I think and I think it's pretty unrealistic, but but maybe she, especially like the words you hear, like the words that are out of their mouth sometimes, like they're speaking poetically. Like it's not, really basic kind of stuff. But at least with Danny, she like the two she knew growing up makes sense. And then she spends like a year with the Dothraki speaking nothing but it. I mean, I guess she speaks to Jorah, but nonetheless, and she has a trainer. So like learning, getting a workable knowledge up to that point is okay. And then I don't know what happens with the Giscari. I guess she sat down and started learning it, but yeah, I mean, it's impressive, especially for whatever 16-year-old girl. Um, yeah, these things is that like being able to speak something is kind of a ridiculous notion. Like people talk about, oh, I speak a language. What do you mean you speak a language? Like for me, like takes like Spanish for me. Like I've studied Spanish many, 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 many years, and I'm horrible at it. Um, I can communicate anything I want, but I sound like an idiot. Like I'm conjugating things wrong constantly. I'm using an L and a la wrong constantly. I'm constantly messing up por and para. It doesn't matter. Like every communication is all there, but I just sound so dumb. However, if you're really talking like, oh, at a restaurant or a checking into a hotel, I've done that so many times that someone would be like, oh yeah, no, that guy speaks, he's completely fluent. When you know, so it's like in what context, like so, like I used to back in the day when I lived in Jordan, I was dating this Peace Corps volunteer, and I remember, she spent every day speaking um, Jordanian Arabic, and I remember I was really bad at it, but I learned a few words, and I remember there's this one word I learned, which was atheist, mulhead. And I brought up the word, and she had no idea what it was, and I was like, "How do you not know the word atheist?" And she's like, I live in a village. Do you think we're talking about religion? Like, I'm talking with women about like, you know, if the cucumbers look fresh. Like this is the conversations I'm having. Like, what do you think? Like, yes, I'm very conversational in Arabic, but the conversations I have are about like vegetables and like children and like, like it's so like what does it mean to speak something? Well, when you're in like a certain thing, a certain conversations become very tried and true. Like people in the Middle East, I'm very taxi cab Arabic is my Arabic, where people are like, because you know what they're gonna ask. They're gonna ask the same questions like, where are you from? How long have you been here? How old are you? Oh, do you like the Middle East? Like, do you like Jordan? Do you like Jordanian women? I mean, they always taxi cab drivers ask the same fucking questions. It's the same with Chinese taxi drivers. Like, oh, how long have you been here? Can you use chopsticks? Oh, like it's the same fucking questions. But at the same time, like it doesn't really speak to how well I speak the language in other contexts, which is not at all, like I was very good in Taiwan at speaking to the woman at my son's daycare, like, because when she was like, oh yeah, he had two poos today and like we need more diapers, like I knew all that, so I was like, okay, yeah, now I'm looking great. Like um yeah, there's no way I believe that anybody has 58 languages fluently. That's, I mean, these things, like I just don't believe it. No, no, I don't like fluency. Like it's like what does fluency mean? Like no, no. Um, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like um, God, a buddy of mine, he's Taiwanese American. Okay, he grew up speaking. Um, he grew up speaking Mandarin at home. He studied it in college. He then joined the State Department, and he like took classes with them. and he's only gotten to like, and he's 40 years old now, and after all, and lived in China and all lived in Taiwan, like all these things, he spent his whole life, and they still only rank him out of five, as a 4 out of 5. Like he's a business, they count that business. Like I just don't believe people like have fluency in more than 3 or 4 languages. I don't think it's just fucking possible to have fluency in more than 3 or 4 languages. It's just like ridiculous. Like fluent. No. Like no. um oh, Rex for a family trip to Palermo. The I have let me Here's the thing is I've only been to Eastern Sicily. So I've been to Siracusa, Catania, like and the volcano, but Edna, right? But I haven't been to Palermo, Etna. I haven't been to Palermo in the West. So I do think that I mean 10 days you're going to have a that's maybe you have enough time to go around the whole island. 10 days is a lot. I mean, I had a great time climbing Etna. It was really pretty. But, obviously there's plenty of castles and everything on Sicily. You got the beach. I honestly Sicily is mostly like an eating an eating holiday. It's just like so much food. You'll have something different every day, like all the seafood, all your octopus ink, um, this and that, your pizzas and your deep fried rice balls. Um, but yeah, I've never been to the west of Sicily. But oh man, there's a Doric temple of Segesta. Oh my god, that looks incredible. Jesus fucking Christ. That looks. Can I get that out? Let me get this picture. Oh my god. They got some. They got some fancy schmancy stuff there. Sicily, you'll have a great time though. There's nothing. Look at that. That's right near there. Um. What else do I know about Sicily though? I mean, I had a great time. They're very friendly because they're very tourist oriented. Like they know where their bread is buttered. So like when you arrive, they're like, "Oh, welcome." You're like, "Whoa, everybody's so friendly here." It's like, yeah, there's a reason because their lives rely on tourism, so they treat the tourists really well. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of food. But it's a beautiful island. You'll have a great time. Um, thoughts on his Dark Material book series? I never read it. I saw the series. My wife has explained it a lot to me because she really liked the series. Um, I mean, from what people tell me about the HBO show, that they're like book readers are pretty happy from what I hear with the series. The series is pretty good. I liked it. Um, and they said that like they're all pretty happy with how it came out. Um, they couldn't have like considering how many bad adaptations there are. Like his Dark Materials people are like, wow, we actually got a really good adaptation that was pretty faithful, pretty well acted, pretty well done. Really great. And so I thought it was a fascinating concept, the whole thing, the fairly complicated fantasy idea about dust and its relationship to religion and coming of age and all these different things and like sin and free will. There was like a very interesting connection that the author is making. Very pointed, savage criticism of religion for a kid's book. It's really amazing how fucking savage his criticism of religion is, considering like who's going to be reading this story. It's Like it's just brutal criticism. But I think it's really, I really liked the series. Thought it really came out really great. And so I haven't read the books, but I assume that if they have all those ideas, that it's pretty neat. And I got choked up at the end. I got really fucking choked up at the end of his Dark Materials. Um, yeah, it's funny because I'd already written at least my first draft of Dreams of Ghosts and Indians, and there's some similarities um, with his Dark Materials and Dreams of Ghosts and Indians. Um, Greetings from DC. I jokingly commented last week that the Catspaw Dagger would be in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms as Egg's boot. I've convinced myself that that would be the case and it would ruin the show. Thoughts? So Carmine and I have been joking about this a bit. Um, but the dagger showing up is really, really stupid. But at the same time, it seems really probable. You've had the dagger show up 200 years ago. It's in the contemporary story. So therefore, it should be in the 100 years ago story, right? And then the question is like, who would have it? Like, as I said, it does make the most sense for Arian to for some reason have it and use it against uh Tansel Tutal, so it's like in the fucking story. But at the same time, like, why does he have it rather than um Baelor and or not Baelor Breakspear or his dad? Um, you know, would it just be then a cameo at that point if it's still with the king? I mean, if it's always passing to the king, so um so yeah. Uh, I mean, it's so silly. I'm gonna howl at the moon when we see the dagger show up. Oh man. Um, but yeah, it's anyway. I miss DC. DC's great. It's a good city. It's a good city. People are always, some people ask me DC because um, it has everything you need. It's got pretty good weather. It's great. Um, I mean, it's not New York City, but whatever. Why are the wildlings so widely disliked while the hill tribes, who seem to be more wild, are generally tolerated and even accepted in King's Landing? Thanks, PJ. I mean, it's a very, very good point. I'm trying to think of here's the okay. Like, should I understand that, like, in the show, Randall Tarley really hated wildlings, but I'm trying to think of like a point anywhere else where people hated wildlings. Like, obviously the Night's Watch um would hate them, but I don't know if we really have a case of people hating wildlings other than specifically like the Hill clans and the Umbers, because like they actually got attacked by wildlings, and the Watch. Like, in the show this happened, but I don't think that realistically anyone else in the Seven Kingdoms would fucking care. Meanwhile, you're right that people in the Vale should hate their wildlings. I mean, they call them wildlings in the Vale. They're the hill, the mountain clans. It does kind of make you reinterpret the beginning of A Clash of Kings when Tyrion shows up and it's Sir Mandon Moore who is guarding the door, and Tyrion shows up and he's got his mountain clan people. Of all of the people that should just despise and be like, you motherfucker, you motherfucker. It should be Mandon Moore. But Mandon Moore just kind of steps aside. Because Mandon Moore is from the Vale. Um, but yeah, people from the Vale should really hate them. But I'm trying to think if anybody, I don't know if anybody, I don't know, maybe people can give me examples, but anybody else like outside of the Umbers, the Hill clans, and the and the Watch, like who hates wildlings? Does anybody? I mean, like it's a show. I think it might just be a show only thing because it doesn't, because in the books actually Sam thinks that by going to Horn Hill and telling his dad that he impregnated a wildling and they have a son by a wildling, that his dad would be impressed. Like, oh yeah, you hit a wildling. Oh right, yeah. I don't know if anybody else like hates them. In reality, who is the target of the Old Town Faceless Man? I think in truth, the so the mission of Jock and Hagar in Old Town is very clearly the glass candle. Like we know this from previous drafts of the prologue. This was changed to the key, but in the original drafts of the prologue, Pate wasn't stealing a key; he was stealing the glass candle. And Pate, this is changed to a key, but Pate is at the glass candle. I mean, Pig Boy Pate Jockin is at the glass candle at the end of A Feast for Crows anyway. So it's very clear that their target is the glass candle and what they can do with the glass candle. So who knows? But I have my own theory that, I mean, it doesn't really make sense when you think of the timeline of how things were written, but assuming incorrectly that George had a plan the whole time, being in the black cells would send Jock and Hagar to the wall. So their target should be somewhere around the wall. And he then ends up in Old Town. So like, and my theory was, and I had this theory before reading the previous drafts of the prologue, that he was looking for the glass candle and that he was using the glass candle to try to find Bloodraven north of the wall. Now, maybe George thought about, he hadn't come up with Bloodraven at this point, but he had this loose idea of a three-eyed crow. So maybe he thought that the Faceless Men were going to be searching for the three-eyed crow. But that was my theory, that he was using the glass candle to find the three-eyed crow. And that was his target. But so we'll see. Hey Preston, not too long ago you said that part of the reason Wins isn't finished is because it's not a priority for George. How can that be if he gets reminded about Wins every day? Hope you're well. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that go into that. I think George has personal reasons why he hasn't been working on Wins. And I think that's probably the number one thing. But also, yeah, when you're just busy, you're not going to, and you have other projects around, you're just not going to dedicate the time. Keep in mind that like writing specifically for George, most famous writers describe that they need to be in a quiet room, undistracted, to write. So Stephen King talks about his process, that he goes into his office in the morning, and from waking up to noon, no one bothers him, and he writes. And that used to be George too. Go in the morning, and then, I've read about like J.D. Salinger had like this cabin that was away from the house, and he'd just go off and just go into the cabin and just write. So, and we kind of know that this is George's personality. Like, he doesn't write when he travels. he 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 gets distracted, because he has to sit down and get into a zone and go. And so that's part of it. Like, if you've got other things constantly distracting you, you're not going to get into that mode. You know, Being an amateur writer myself, I kind of know that, like, yeah, I can do little dabblings here and there, but when you really talk about getting into finding like that emotional place where you're actually putting to page something that is, really resonates, you need to be in the zone. You need to be there thinking about it. And if you're always just if somebody's been going to be like, oh, you've got a conference call in 2 hours, well, you're going to be thinking about that conference call in 2 hours. Like, we've all, for all of us that have had like office jobs, that when you have something on the schedule happening in a couple hours, it's really hard to pay attention because you're like, oh, what's the clock? Oh, I've got it. What that meeting? What am I going to talk about at the meeting? Oh, but I've got this other task to do. That all of a sudden it's on your mind and it's screwing you up. You get interrupted. And so that's it. It's just, he's got these other priorities and they distract him and he can't get in the zone. And it's, in general, the wins is a very daunting, depressing task. I mean, even when I think about the fanfic and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so many years away from finishing finishing the wins fanfic. And then after that, there'd be the Drum of Spring. Oh my God. Like, it's a depressing, like, kind of thought, being like, oh God, so demoralizing. So I think, he's got his personal life and he's got other things that distract him. And it's just, it's just not going to happen. It's just, but yeah, he's got people reminding him all the time. It's true. I mean, it's always there. He might dabble at it every day, but dabbling at it is not the same as sitting down and doing something, getting it done, Can you explain your rationale for glass candles being sci-fi tech? If it's like a satellite camera, how does Sam talk to Bravo? Neuro interface? Yeah, I mean, I imagine, sci-fi tech. I think the glass candle is something like, some sort of telepathic, it taps into your neural interface. You're sending signals, uh, maybe bouncing them off the moon, bouncing them off the atmosphere, things like that, from place to place, just creating a a telepathic connection from afar. I mean, yeah, it's something that we'd have in science fiction. It's obviously impossible because telepathy is impossible, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's exactly what you're saying, like some sort of like neural interface that goes and attaches to somebody else, like and there's some sort of like signal, that's going. Um, and for the most part, that's how George is like seeing telepathy in general, right? Like, John has his telepathic connection to Ghost, but then when the wall's in the way, he doesn't have the telepathic connection to Ghost. It's interrupted somehow. So he's imagining some sort of waves, happening. And so this is just some sort of device that enhances the waves and allows the waves to go over greater distances, something like that, right? Wave enhancer. I don't know. Yeah, that's the guess, I think, um, but yeah, how does Sam talk to the Bravo? Yeah, the idea is that, he's bouncing his signal off of the moon or the atmosphere or something. And the technology, is this neural link enhancing his telepathic wave. You have to accept that telepathic waves exist, in general, like with wave theory, right? Like all objects have a relationship with another with each other, and there is a wave function between them, right? There's electromagnetic, like you and the the moon, you and Pluto, you and the Andromeda galaxy have some, whether it be small, there is some minute like connection between you and those objects, electromagnetically, gravitationally, um, strong, even strong force, weak force, right? And that, so, but it's the same kind of thing. There's a telepathic link between people, but it gets really weak the further away you get, and so you use your glass candle to enhance that wave at some point. Um, do you think George will ever write a gay sex scene? Hmm. I mean, he did write Danny getting having sex with Erie, and he wrote Cersei having sex with um, uh, Tana. So he's written two gay sex scenes there. Now, if you mean like two males, um, well, considering that like he's probably never gonna have another book come out. Um, no, I don't think he's ever gonna write a gay sex scene. But but yeah, no. But I put one in the fanfic. I put one in the fanfic. So it's well, actually he thinks it's a gay sex scene, and then it's not. In fact, it's he thinks he's having homosexual relations, and he's actually having heterosexual relations. So, but yes, John Constantine. But I mean, should it happen? I'm trying to think. Yeah, George has never written a two male. I guess this implied, but he's never there's plot there's lots of um man gay sex going on. It's just that he's not writing it out in detail like he does with his woman gay sex scenes. I'm in the Red Team Discord. We are just started a book club, and we're reading The Dreams of Ghosts and Indians. If anyone wants to join, they're welcome too. Oh, thank you, Daniel, advertising the Dreams of Ghosts and Indians book club. I think they're going to go chapter by chapter, and talk about the book. Um, there's only 8 chapters, so it's not, you're committing to at least eight meetings. Yeah, but yes, thank you, Daniel, for advertising the Dreams of Ghosts and Indians. I do appreciate it. And hopefully you guys will like the book and think it's worthwhile. Watch Netflix Pantheon. Pantheon on Netflix? It's got time traveling brain kind of things. Okay, Pantheon it's an animated adult science fiction drama. Oh, based on short stories by Ken Liu. Set in a world where mind uploading technology is on the verge of mass adoption. It follows a disparate trio of protagonists. Oh my god, an aggrieving teenager whose father was uploaded without her knowledge. Oh my god. This seems pretty intense. Okay. I might just watch this just because this seems really fascinating. Pantheon. All right. This does seem pretty good. Okay, I'll give it a shot. mm, mm, mm. What if Barristan is just mediocre? Serves Ares, Joff, Danny, manipulated by the shaved pate, breaks oaths, justifies it. Martin's take on legendary figures has never been what it seems. I think you are right that um, he wants to like George is definitely making a statement that like people are imperfect, and this idea that we have these like perfect, you know, paragons of virtue and things like that out there. Like he's definitely saying like no, that doesn't exist. These are human beings. And so it's funny when we hear about Barristan and everybody's opinions about Barristan, and we have these ideas, and then all of a sudden you meet Barristan, and he's kind of a bumbling idiot in many ways. Um, I think that's definitely a point that George is making, that these are real people. They kind of miss it in the show. Like in the show, Barristan remains pretty pure, right? Like we're not in his head. He doesn't make all those fascinating mistakes. I mean, I love the Barristan chapters. I think the Barristan chapters are fucking fantastic. But man, Barristan is kind of an idiot. Just like Ned's an idiot. They all make mistakes. Um, you know, and we forgive him for it, unless you're the part of the fandom that doesn't forgive Catelyn for any of her mistakes. Everybody else has allowed mistakes except for Catelyn. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's a very good point that that's what's going on with Barristan. Um, Justin Massey might take Jane to Bravos amid wall chaos. Arya uses Jane's face, reclaims the name. Interesting double negative point of view on how she escapes House of Black and White. Yeah, I've heard this before. This idea of how it might be really interesting if fake Arya comes to Bravos and meets real Arya. That's certainly a possibility. I mean, considering that like he tells Justin Massey to take control of her, and he tells Justin Massey to go to Bravos, though he doesn't necessarily say to take fake Arya to Bravos. I mean, the idea is that he's delivering fake Arya to Jon. If Jon's dead, what do you do? Who gets control of her? But you'd think he wouldn't want to take her out of like Stannis's control generally. Um, what advantage? Maybe you'd have to think about it. I guess they'd have to have that conversation. Like when Justin Massey arrives at the wall, even if he thinks that Stannis is alive, he thinks Jon Snow's dead, and you're like, oh, do you deliver her to Rickon Stark? Does Rickon is it important for Rickon? Would Rickon even remember his own sister at this point? I don't think he would actually, because um, yeah, I don't know if Rickon, because Rickon is that's really sad, right? That Rickon Stark, I mean, if Theon isn't supposed to recognize his sister, like, is Rickon Stark? So Rickon Stark, Clash of Kings. He's at the end of the Clash of Kings. He's maybe 4, and now he's 5, right? About a year goes by between. What does our fan made timeline say on the distance between the end of Bran? They say October of 299, and then the rest of the story goes up to about the same October of 300. Is that the guess? About, right? It's about October of 300. So by the time Rickon might run into Jane, it's been like a year and a couple months. Maybe, it depends if one's yeah, no, about a year and a couple months. Yeah, Rickon would probably forget who she is. That's fucking sad. That's weird. But yeah. Mm, mm, mm. But you think he'd like stay within? They'd stay within the custody of Manderley and Rick and Stark. I don't know if you'd split them up unless there's some strategy. Um, Preston, will you be back in DC for Trump's military parade? No, I have no reason. I have no reason. Hopefully that thing will get canceled. But God, what a waste of fucking money. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Um, since we saw Bloodraven in Damon's Werewood dream. Oh, he's been in Duncan Egg season 1 with the dagger. He'll be in Duncan Egg season 1 with the dagger. He'll later tell Egg about the prophecy leading to Summerhall. Ah, fuck, you're kind of right. Like, I have no argument against that. Like, you are right that if Damon can see the Three-Eyed Crow and Bloodraven, then yeah, Bloodraven can show up at any time. You can have time traveling. They're going with time traveling Bloodraven for all this kind of stuff, but yeah, he can show up at any time, and he can warn them about Summerhall. Like they can all have visions about Summerhall and all that shebang. Though I'm trying to think when they're gonna run into it, because I mean it's the fucking show. They can just pop werewoods everywhere, right? If there's a werewood in King's Landing, but there could be a werewood at Ashford Meadows, werewood at Sir Eustace Castle, at Rowan Weber's castle, another werewood at White Walls, werewood fucking everywhere. Oh god damn it! Oh my god, egg fucking touching where. The thing is, we don't know if this is what Ira Parker like wants to do with the visions. But you're right that all these fucking visions can start popping up anytime you want. God damn it. God damn it. Fucking seriously, I knew you wanted Glass Candles and the Ravens. Yeah, we don't know about the Ravens, but yeah, the Glass Candles thing is it's pretty. I mean, George can change his mind. Maybe it's really the book because they changed it from the key to the book, but he's hanging out with a crew of dudes who are focused on the glass candle. And in the original draft, he wanted the glass candle. It's very, very clear that glass candle was the thing. Oh, what did the word Brienne scream? This is supposedly she yelled sword, and I think somebody asked George um, at a meeting once that it was, or at a convention once, and it was sword after all, because she says choose like the noose or the sword, and so she chooses the sword, or she pretends at least that she's gonna kill Jamie. Pycelle in A Game of Thrones recommended a Faceless Man for Dany. That is true. He did. That's true. He did. But they would not know. Like they wouldn't know she was going into Slaver's Bay. That's the thing. Is like the Faceless Man. Like when picking up in Karth, she tells everyone that she's going to Pentos. That's where the ship's going. She needs to go either to Westeros or to Pentos or whatever. And no, I'm sorry. She's trying to get to Westeros. She tells everyone she's going to Westeros. Then Barristan and Strong Belwas show up, and they're like, "Yeah, let's bring you back to Pentos. Okay, we've got 3 ships for you. Let's go." So she sets sail. She sets sail, thinking she's going to go to Pentos, and then Jorah's like, "Deliria's kind of shady," and she's like, "You let's turn into Slaver's Bay." And then in Slaver's Bay, she's looking at armies, and she's like, she has her dream, and then she's like, "Let's murder everybody and take control. Let's just steal these armies." Um, in one of the silliest, I mean, when you actually think of how ridiculous it is that they had that level of security, like no one else thought of doing this, like that they had such incredibly lax security in Slaver's Bay for taking control of their armies. Um, it reminds me of this scene in Terminator, right, where he's like, "Let me see that gun," and then he gives him the gun, and then he just starts loading the gun and shoots the guy. And people are like, "No, no, no gun store would ever be that loose with like their weapons and their ammo and just turning your back on somebody. Like it just wouldn't happen." It's the same kind of thing, but yeah, they wouldn't know she's in Slaver's Bay. So I mean, if they hired a faceless man, the faceless man would be like, I don't know, like they'd I don't know where they would choose to. Would they just say like, do you just tell the faceless man, just like, I want this person dead. You find them. I don't know where they are, and then they figure it out. They have an array. Maybe Pycelle. Maybe Pycelle secretly hired a faceless man at the same time. I mean, that's an interesting idea. Is Pycelle secretly hires the faceless man? He's like, well, you know, I know that Varys said that he was going to do it, but then Robert came to me and said that he didn't trust Varys, and so he wanted me to hire one too. But would Robert think that Pycelle had connections? Or would Robert secretly goes but then Robert goes back and is like, "Oh, I told him to call it off." It'd have to be somebody else I have to think that through. Pycelle taking the initiative and hiring a faceless man. Because Littlefinger specifically didn't want to do it. And then Renly. No, Renly. Um. Oh, couldn't find anywhere the 12 languages detail. Yeah, I saw it in a post. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Twelve. Probably something like a dozen languages, right? That would be the if it's something like 12, probably a dozen times, dozen year girls. I don't know. Dozen different sorts of meats, dozen men, dozen heartbeats. Is it? Did Barristan mention it? I don't know. I don't know why this was posted somewhere. How many languages does Missandei speak? In the show, she claims to speak 19 languages. Common Dothraki. But I don't know where they're getting this dozen. Does she see this post? Missandei knows 12 languages expertly by the time. Does she know that? Yeah. This person really is certain about the 12 number. I will, let's see. 12 languages. Really? It's I think they might have gotten it from the app. You know, the World of Ice and Fire app that's not canon. I think it might have had it because that's what I'm seeing, like amino, like some sort of amino app, which I think is the but I will say it's not canon. You can take it away from the suspicion of her then that she doesn't, maybe she doesn't know 12 languages. It just says she easily learns languages, and so they chose her to train as a squire. But I guess I guess we don't know. We don't know how many. All right. The call out V2 called me out. He got it. He got it. I cannot find anything, yeah, either. But maybe somebody put it in the app. In the show, she knows 19. Um, Reading some chess history. When the Queen piece became the most powerful piece in the 1400s, Spain under the Queen Isabella, chess was then called the Queen's chess. To medieval misogynists, Mad Queen's chess. Oh, that's interesting. And this is obviously important because George was a massive chess fan, and he um, he might know this kind of thing. There's a game even of Mad Queen's chess, but yeah. So maybe George would have heard about that kind of thing. The interesting. It was funny to hear the the Norwegian guy from Norway. Magnus Carlsen. It's interesting hearing him talk about chess because, um, like when people are like, "Oh, you have to be pretty smart to be good at chess," and he's like, "No, no." He's like, "You have to be pretty smart to be like top tier, but you can become pretty good." Like winning um, tournaments and impressing all of your friends through like basic memorization, which any human being can do. Like you don't have to be a genius. Like you can become really good at chess by just memorizing a whole bunch of different like openings and plays, which is like most of chess, right? It's only like once you get into it, there's some creative stuff later on. I don't know. I have no idea. You'd think that like it would just like it'd be microscopically small, but wouldn't it still like exist? I don't know. I mean, I do not know. Um, but whatever, I thought everything had a wave connection to each other, but I completely if I talk to a scientist, I have no. Um, mm, 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 mm. Hi, Preston. Enjoyed your Carmine's last Andor review. I liked how Cass dreamt of his sister, but could it be considered a dropped plot? Thanks. Um, I think it. I mean, it's like when you realize at some point in the story, I'm certain that when they started writing Andor, they thought that this was something that was going to come up. I mean, does he mention the sister in Rogue One? I don't think so, right? Um, so I think probably when they brought it up, when they first wrote it, they were like, okay, maybe this is something that's going to be resolved. And then you get to a point where you're like, well, I've got too many other things to resolve, so we're just going to like pop in some recognition there at the end. It might be nothing more than her appearance at the end might be nothing more than lampshading. Like we as writers, we all recognize that we didn't get to her, but we're going to put her in there to let you all know that we know that. But I think it fits. I think it fits really well that he never finds his sister and he dies, and it's really sad. Like it was this quest that was never resolved, and it reminded me of. I mean, if you guys have ever seen the last episode of Quantum Leap, where the last episode of Quantum Leap is also really sad, and it just ends with it kind of going black, and then it just being written like Sam Beckett never made it home, and you're like, fuck, like that was the whole point of the series, hoping each time he'd make it home, and he never makes it home. He chooses not to go home. But yeah, it's probably I think it's probably the best of a bad situation. Like you've got a plot that you just don't have the time for, and you're going to try to resolve it as best you can. And I think they resolved it pretty well. I think Andor came out pretty good. Um, as I say, season 2, 9 out of 10. Season 1, 10 out of 10. Great show. Um, you've all heard my problems with it with season 2, but I still think they're minute compared to how good it was. Um, you've got a miniature cat's paw dagger because, of course, so you can give it to a cat. You want a miniature cat's paw dagger so that a cat can have it, and then a cat with a cat's paw dagger. I mean, that'd be pretty cute. You have a cat dressed up as cat's paw with a little tiny cat with a little cat's paw dagger. Carmine has a cat. Carmine loves his cat. He needs to have his cat get the cat's paw dagger. Uh, Um, anything made of werewood is spyware. Yes, all of it. What if Jon Snow appears in the House of Dragons season 3? Maybe. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put it past them. But I think they like with Danny, they didn't show her face. Like they would show, I don't know, some guy with black curly hair with a sword up or something. In the books are more realistic. Sam would only use the glass candle to watch porn. What's funny is in the books, George makes that joke, right? Like he he runs into Lazy Leo, and Lazy Leo is like looking at a candle. He's not looking at the glass candle, but he's looking at a candle, and he's like, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm looking at naked women." You know, he does. They do make that joke. Oh, Pycelle told the Citadel, and someone did it from there. It's pretty good. I like that. I like that. Um, hmm. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Interesting. Hmm. But then, I don't know. Well, I guess they just take their jobs. What's their master plan? Master plan is to get in close. Well, they switch it. They're ordered to kill her, but they actually have like some other plan. Do they not kill her? Because Missandei could have killed Danny anytime she wanted. Okay, Missandei sleeps with Danny, right? There's no way that Missandei couldn't, like, if she was hired to kill um her, she wouldn't have killed her. So either Missandei has gone rogue, or the Faceless Men have some other plan than to kill her. Like they want to utilize the dragons. So I guess we don't really have to worry about Pycelle sending off who has a mission to kill Danny, because they clearly don't want to kill her. Like clearly, very clearly, Missandei doesn't want to kill her. You know, they gotta be getting close to them dragons. Scribe, not squire. I once had a cat named Isabella. Um, let's see. I really hope I'm wrong and she's giving Danny wines to help her against the wines that the Carthene are giving her. But she's giving Danny dope wine. I mean, she tells her at one point not to drink wine. Missandei. She's like, oh, Gilroy interview said that he decided Andor's sister was better as a void in the story. He saves everyone but her. Well, we don't know. I mean, we don't know what happened to her. If she's alive, then she's saved too from the Empire. Um, trying to think like who. I mean, Andor. He definitely Andor saved. I mean, fails to save a lot of people. But also, I guess like at what point I'd like to know when that interview took place, because at one point they realize they're never going to get to it. They're like, well, it's better as a void. But it's hard to believe that like at the very beginning when they're like writing, they're like, yes, let's introduce a sister that he never that we're never going to get to. I don't know. Um, um, just makes me wonder about Mad Danelle Lothston. Was she really mad? Or was it a denunciation of a woman warrior leading a medieval setting? Um, that's the weird thing about all of this, isn't it? Um, George certainly knows the trope. Like George certainly knows that like all of these strong women are going to be called crazy. Like that's always going to be like he knows that's the trope, and yet somehow he's got Cersei and Danny being actual literal like mad queens in his story. Um, kind of remarkable, right? I mean, on the one hand, you could be like, well, George is such a feminist that he's willing to actually have like crazy women in the story. I know that when Game of Thrones came out, and I really didn't think they were going to have the last, because of George's like feminism. I thought they were really going to have like both Cersei and Danny be crazy, but no, they did it. They did both Cersei and Danny be crazy, and I was wrong. Um, so yeah, I mean, my gut with George is that like, yeah, no, none of those stories are true about Danelle Lawstein. She wasn't really crazy. She wasn't really bathing in blood. She wasn't doing any of that. And then he does stuff like Cersei and Danny both being crazy. And I'm like, well, maybe he's just going to make her crazy. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Melisandre's crazy. Danny's now crazy. Cersei's crazy. So you essentially have got Brienne and Catelyn goes crazy. Well, I mean, she's dead and resurrected. Um, you essentially just got your Brienne character, and I guess he likes Asha. Asha's all badass, even though Asha's she's got some crazy in her. But um, I mean, Sansa is not crazy yet, but Arya's crazy. Everybody's crazy. I mean, the warrior woman. It's funny because the warrior fighting women were fairly. I mean, I wouldn't say like common, but we have so many examples of them in history, um, and they at least with Joan of Arc, they kind of she was seeing her visions and she was crazy. So I guess they kind of have Mad Danelle Lothston being kind of similar in that situation, similar to Joan of Arc. But yeah, was she really mad? No, I don't know. Probably not. I like to think that none of these characters were really mad, and there's usually a good explanation, or at least they're not as crazy as everyone seems, right? Like Mad King Aerys actually, you know, oh, he's so paranoid. They're all trying to overthrow him, except they were trying to overthrow him. But he really did like do the crazy thing of cooking people in armor and wanting to burn down the city. So I guess he was crazy too. Yeah. I don't think she was crazy. Um, Night's Watch castles can't all be built at the same time. Greenguard, Reach, Stone Door, Vale, West Watch, West, Snowgate, North, Greyguard, Ironborn. Oh. Thoughts on these being the oldest and recruits for the castles made up their own culture. Oh, interesting idea. I've never heard this before. Huh. Uh. Uh-huh. Okay, the Grey Guard would be the Greyjoy. So it'd be the Ironborn. Green Guard would be from the Reach. But West Watch is, of course, like it actually is geographically west. So, Stone Door, would that be, because of the Vales, Snowgate with the north? I mean, I did think about Snowgate being the place where you give up your bastards, which is why Snowgate. Um, huh. I mean, it's a fun idea. It's a fun idea. I've never thought about that. West Watch would be that's that's a tough one to um to justify because it is geographically to the west. But the fact that you've got a stone door and a snow gate and a green guard because the house gardener kind of stuff, right? Um, it's not bad. I'm trying to think if there's any others that would work. Um, but then we've got Ice Mark. Is that another northern one? Deep Lake doesn't fit. Woods Watch, Sable Hall, Rhyme Gate. What does rhyme even mean? A frost formed on cold objects by rapid freezing. Cover an object with hoarfrost. That's what rhyme means? Huh. It's funny that George doesn't use that as much. It's just in the name. Oakenshield. I mean, you could claim that it was the Oakhearts or something. The Sentinel Stand. Is that where the Sentinels were? Long Barrow. Maybe from the Barrowton. Um, it's a fun idea. I don't know if it really holds up though. I mean, you got too many castles that don't have names that would really like fit. And would it make sense to have everybody? I mean, I guess on the first ones, you wouldn't have the whole criminal thing, right? You'd have to send them up. Where are the river people going? Deep Lake? No. Where's the Riverlanders? Where are the Stormlanders? What do they get? Yeah, I don't know. Too many of them are related to ice, and the West Watch doesn't really fit. But it's a fun idea. It's a fun idea. Um, Sir Pounce make appearance in the fan fiction. Sir Pounce already did. He already made an appearance. Sir Pounce is um he's in Cersei 1. I'm not gonna bring it up. Right. Or is that just the kittens? Yeah. No, right here, man. Sir Pounce is already here. I'll, all their ears were open, though, beyond a doubt. With false smiles, they feigned interest in the purrs and leaps of Lady Whiskers and Boots and Sir Pounce. Also, they could tell the High Sparrow every word uttered between Cersei and the king. Sir Pounce, he's there, man. He is key to this entire story coming together. Um, Fanfic idea: the rescued wildling refugees in Bravos should worship the werewood door of House of the Black and White. Yeah, it's interesting. The what becomes of those wildlings? Right, they're rescued. Do they just get released? And is Arya going to run into them at all? Are they going to have any role? Um, Would they come to the werewood door at the House of the Black and White and start worshiping? Huh, huh. I don't know. I wonder if Arya should at least. I mean, you Arya should at least pass them at some point. Figure out where they're living, how they're getting by. Um, if Duncan Egg, when Baelor is dying as the heir, with the Song of Ice and Fire dagger info, he'll confide it in Dunk. It's going to hurt. I'm trying to think of. Let me think about the family tree and how this goes. Um, and of course with the retcons, because man, when Hedge Knight is written, Bloodraven is not a character, and yet like in a retcon sense, like Bloodraven is massively important during this period. So we've got. Well, I'll just look up Aegon the Fifth family tree. Okay. For anyone that needs a review of this, I've done. Here we go. All right, so we got our family tree over here. So Daron is, of course, king at the time. Um, but we've got this is after the first Blackfire Rebellion, though George hadn't even come up with Blackfire Rebellions at this point. but Baelor is the heir, so the idea is that it's been confided in him at some point, and but he has not yet confided in Valar. Valar is in the story. But he later dies, and then Aerys, um, he essentially is totally on board with the prophecy stuff with Bloodraven. So it seems 100% that if they're doing this whole dagger prophecy shit, that Aerys would know about it. And then he chooses, I think he chooses not to have kids, and Rhaegal, I think, dies, and so it passes to Maekar. And then Daron, of course, gets the dragon dreams. Arianne's crazy. He definitely believes all of this stuff. Like Arianne's on board with all of it. And then Aemon, you know, he doesn't really talk about it too much in the books, but I mean, he knows that Daron's like had the dreams. And actually, even Egg talks about the dreams. He says that he talked because Daron tells him, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and I think he mentions his uncle Aerys. Um, so they're all kind of vaguely aware of the prophecies. It's like not a big secret like it is in House of the Dragon. Like in House of the Dragon, Viserys the First like confides in Rhaenyra the importance like and the need about the others. Granted, these are different notions. Like one is about the resurrection of dragons, but and none of them are talking about the long night. But they at least have prophetic dreams, and they're chatting about prophecy as if prophecy is real and Targaryens are part of prophecy. They just seem to know about dragon hatching part. They don't seem to talk about the um, the others part, which is kind of a weird, kind of convoluted thing, like they all know about like the dragons returning and princes that were promised, but they don't know actually like the other stuff. But in the House of the Dragon show, they know all about the other stuff, but they don't know about prince that was promised and dragon hatching and stuff like that. It's like two sides of what it's like the fandom kind of like knows that it's all together. So when you hear about prophecy, you're just like, oh yeah, they're talking about prophecy and destiny, but like it's actually like two distinct pieces of the prophecies that's going on. So it's odd that they would have an open culture discussing prophecy, but they would keep specifically the other stuff secret. Like we're all really special. We're Targaryens, and there's going to be prophecies about how dragons hatching again. It's totally going to happen, but no, hush hush. Let's not talk about the others. Like. Gilroy interview is definitely season 2. Decided later. Okay. Yeah. But down, bow, bow. Oh, yo, Preston, I've been listening to your channel for years, and you're right. You've never asked people to like or subscribe or anything, or ever asked for money. You deserve me and others buying your book. Thank you, Ted. Thank you. I appreciate it. Shield Isles used to be named Misty Isles. Thank you, Nick. Forgot to type the message. All right. I'll look for you. Which character is the most sane? I mean, what's sanity? Is it Ario Hota? Is he the sanest? Because he's just like the most boring. Um, if guns drag if gunpowder existed, would dragons be a threat? I think so. I mean, you still don't have like gunpowder. Gunpowder exists today, but like, um, helicopters are still used like constantly. Drones are used like they can still be used for all sorts of aerial like abilities, um, where you're just kind of out of range, out of effective range. So I think definitely if dragons existed, you I think we'd still use them today. Um, they can they'd be really effective today even because they just lack of maintenance. You just feed the thing. You don't have to worry about repairs and stuff like that. I don't know. Kind of feels like is maintenance of an animal less than military equipment? That's a good question, actually. I don't know. Maybe I should take that back. You got to feed an animal every day. You don't necessarily. You only have to service a tank so often. Um, I think Missandei is the betrayal for love. In Danny 2, she says three mounts, three fires, and three treasons. One for blood, and one for gold, and one for. And she walks in. That's George's tease. It's a pretty good one. That's pretty good. I like that a lot. Um, three mounts, three fires, three treasons. The It's funny because the idea about mounts, everybody's like, oh, the mounts means like men that she's riding and sex or something. But I do wonder about like what the three mounts. Does the three mounts just mean she has three dragons? Like, is that it? Three mounts, three fires, the three for fires of the dragons, three treasons. Um, you're that particular prophecy can be read so many ways, and so many different people have interpreted it in different ways. Like who could be the treason? Um, the betrayal of love is Ben Plum, who simply loves betrayal. But I think that's real. I think that's a pretty nice one. That Missandei is the betrayal, and I think it fits with the fanfic. If she is following Quentin and is all of a sudden like is on Quentin's side, and Danny and Quentin joins like the Aegon cause, then like Danny will be like, I can't believe Missandei like left me for the Quentin and such a betrayal, such a betrayal. Um, it is funny. The others is the open secret. The others is so ridiculous that it's really silly in House of the Dragon. Like, why are you keeping this thing a secret? Um, you literally have a huge wall like built to keep the others out, and a Night's Watch that's famously there to keep the others out. Right? Like, there's no effective reason to keep it a secret. Like, you're just like, guys, like we gotta keep this hush. Like, why? Like, what like who is the secret for? What's the point of keeping it a secret? There's some prophecy that the others are going to return. Obviously, everybody thinks the others are going to return. That's why you built a wall and have a Night's Watch. Like, obviously, like it's. You don't even need the prophecy for that. You still have the fucking wall. You know, like, you know, there are these dikes that exist in Holland, and they keep back flooding. It's not a secret that the dikes exist to keep the flooding back. Like, no one's keeping that a secret. You know, in Holland, they've got these. In the Netherlands, they all have these daggers, and they heat them up, and it like tells the true purpose of the dikes. And everybody's like, "Oh man, it's to keep the waters back, it's to stop flooding." That's why we've been wearing these wooden shoes to keep our feet from getting wet in our marshy little land. Like, oh man. Quick question: shouldn't be Dunk be super famous of the attorney in the hedge night? How is he able to keep such a low profile? Do you think this is a mistake? Yeah, that's definitely a mistake. Look, like, there hasn't been a trial by seven in like 100 years. He's in a trial by seven, the most exciting fucking thing to happen, you know, since, I mean, since at least the war, right? The Blackfire Rebellion. Um, and the fucking heir dies. So I think everybody's gonna be like, wait, how did the heir die? He was fighting in a trial by seven. Who was on trial? It's like right then and there. Like, what? Like, yeah, like, you know, this conversation wouldn't happen. Like, you know, and so without mentioning Dunk. So yeah, when he like everywhere he goes, people are like, oh my god, there's the fucking trial by seven dude where the heir died. Oh, I really liked that heir. Oh, well, there he is. Dunk is also huge, and like just being big makes people famous. So in Westeros, so yeah, absolutely, it's ridiculous that everyone doesn't know Dunk immediately after the fame of his trial by seven. Plus, it's like he's also like his squire is a fucking Targaryen. I mean, like, and that's not a secret after the first story. But okay, you know, whatever. Um, oh, elephants coming to Westeros is funny. Chess came from 1600 AD in India, and bishops originally an elephant. Oh, really? But Europeans have never seen one. Yeah, this happens. This happens a bit, like with like Chinese lions and stuff. Like, JJ McCullough just had a video come out last week about like why certain animals are the famous animals. Like why are like the main animals that are on kids' toys and animal crackers and whatever? Why is it always lions, tigers, um, giraffes, pandas, bears? Like why is it this like? One thing is just like we like big animals, like big animals are there, but a lot of it came from the circuses, like traveling circuses and traveling menageries and zoos. They actually were before zoos, and zoos actually put all of these traveling menageries and circuses out of business because you could go to the zoo and see the same animals. So, um, but yeah, people have always been like, we've all, because we can all go to the zoo, we've all fucking seen these animals now. But you got to remember, like, growing up, you know, you're growing up in the middle of Europe. The most exciting, you know, you're looking at livestock your whole life. You maybe you've seen some squirrels. You've seen some birds. Like, you haven't seen that many animals. And then somebody comes along with a fucking lion. Like, that would be the weirdest thing ever. And apparently there used to be a saying for like seeing an elephant for the first time and it being like this like shocking experience. Like, oh my God, what the hell is that? Like, you know, they don't even have, you know, keep in mind, they didn't even have pictures of these things. So when you like see an animal like an elephant, you're just like, they said that human beings were just awestruck. Like today, you know, I know some people that have like been to the circus today and they're like, oh, it's so dumb. Like, why did it, like, it was like, wasn't that like, because they've seen these animals, they've seen, like, we've all seen now elephants in pictures, at least on the internet, everywhere. Like, we've seen pictures everywhere. We've gone to the zoo, we've seen elephants at the zoo. They're boring to us, but apparently at some time people were just like dumbstruck, like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? It's an elephant. It's a lion. So people like how traumatic such an experience would be, um, would stick in people's mind, and they'd create stories and artwork, which is why you've got these these kind of things. So yeah, it makes sense that these elephants would have like just kind of appeared, and even when they're not used, like the stories and the artwork would be salient, you know. Um, all right. Mm-mm. It's 8 o'clock and there's so much to discuss. Dunkin' Egg delay. We can't rule out that they might put a trailer during season two Last finale. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. Um, um, the but yeah, not having my hope my not getting my hopes up. But yeah, I would love to see a is the finale. How many Last of Us episodes have there been? So Carmine, like every time Carmine stopped watching Last of Us because he played the video game, and so he's just like, I lost interest. I still think it's great, um, but it's funny because there's a romance in it, and it involves Liana Mormont, and it's very difficult to just imagine Liana Mormont in this like romantic situation, because you're just like it's like Liana Mormont in your mind. And so, you know, um, when somebody's getting finger blasted by Liana Mormont, it's like that's just very peculiar to you. Like, so I think we still. Oh, is the next is there's only 7 episodes? Yeah, 7 episodes. So the finale is next week. What a weird number. 7 episodes. Um, so that's in not this week, but the 25th, May 25th is the finale. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Mm-mm-mm. And it's so mid. Carmine, are you going to call in? Well, I'm at the end here. So if you want to talk about Last of Us, now is the time. Now our time is Preston saying finger blasted again. There's nothing funnier than the term finger blasted, okay? Like it's just a funny, it's fun. It's just, um, it's not woke enough for Preston. I mean, it's fine. The show is. I wouldn't say the show is mid. I think everybody's definition of mid is way too high. Okay, that's ridiculous to say that the show is mid. It's a beautiful show, incredibly acted. I don't know, like incredible special effects. Like I don't know what your standards are for mid. Like it's ridiculous to call the show mid. I understand that we have these weird standards, and I understand how something can be boring eventually, but I can understand that even when you even when you might be sitting there saying like, okay, this may be like I can understand it being boring even though it's better than 99% of shows, because that's just how the human brain works. It becomes tired. But to then label it mid, like what other shows are like. It's definitely not in the 50% range. It's definitely a really good show, but it's not. I can understand being bored. I can understand feelings of bored, but logically, it is not fucking mid. No, it's not in the middle. It's not average. Um, Robert's Rebellion show by Tony Gilroy. I wish. We'll see what Tony Gilroy does next, man. I'm fascinated with the guy because, like I say, even though I've seen all of the fucking Jason Bourne, they all kind of run together. I mean, he was just the writer on that, I guess. But uh, though the but yeah, him being able to put together a show like Andor, just like patient and like slow and allows it to drew and go slowly, you know. Um, let's see here. Hold on a second. Carmine doesn't want to talk about what Last of Us. Fine, fine. I liked it. Um, oh, sorry for all the chess references, but will the fanfic explain how Cyvass is played with rules, etc.? No, I don't think anything like that. I don't think it's. So um, from what I can tell, you can set up your pieces in any place, and there's also like barriers and stuff like that that go from, and then I can't tell if there's more than one of each piece, and even though they refer to all the pieces as in the plural, like this is my rabble, you know, this is my crossbowmen, even though is it one piece. Um, so it's tough, but I can't imagine like what the game would be like where you can set up all of your pieces because they put this like barrier so you can't see it, and then you just kind of they go from there. Hello, hello. So you still have this. This is your picture, and you come in talk about Liana Mormont finger blasting. Um,
I removed it from our Andor Thrones
yeah, I
discussion
know you
because
did.
I'm because because I didn't want. It was so random because I said I know you want to talk about the lesbian thing, and you're like, what? No, no, that's not it at all. What I really wanted, Carmine, come on, what are you
No, look,
saying?
it's not. Here's the thing, and as I say, it's not the lesbian aspect at all. Because I'm saying if I were watching the show and she were traveling with a male character and or a man character, either one, and she gives and then Leanna Mormont like gives him a hand job. I'd be talking about it just as much. Like I'd still be like Leanna Mormont like gave a dude a hand job like in a
Listen,
show.
I
Like
know you have a wife and child, and you're a grown man with a life, but please hire a babysitter for just like 48 hours and play Last of Us Part 2 on the PlayStation. Please. I promise you, you'll be like, the show sucks. What the fuck? I
what
promise.
how many times do I have to hit O to do I like hit O furiously to with her character?
By the way, I also want to make this clear because someone was getting on my dick about this. I do think Bella Ramsey is probably one of the worst casts like in the last couple of years, but not the worst cast ever. I think that honor goes to Keanu Reeves in Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think he
Hmm.
was. Did you ever see that? You ever see him in that?
I have, yeah, I have.
That was dog shit casting. But she's not that bad, and she's not as bad as the first Dario Naharis. Holy fuck, that was bad too.
I'm trying to
Or
think.
the
Now I'm
second
thinking of like
mountain.
bad casting overall. Like, there's got to be a lot of bad casting in this world.
You
Like,
know, like the second mountain was terrible. The third one, which is the one we know now, Haps and Scandinavian name insert here. The first mountain was the best. He just looked like a
mm.
brutish, like crazy guy. The second one looked like a doofus. The third one just looks
The
like
second one
God.
was super tall and kind of yeah, super tall and
Like,
skinny.
like he's yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the first mountain was perfect, and then the third mountain was a little too balloony. in my opinion.
But I can't get over Bella. It's just no. That was just such bad cat. The show to me is just mid. The game is better. Please play the game, please.
Look, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's never going to
No.
happen. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man.
Have
The
you been playing Balatro at least?
what's that?
You haven't been playing that Balatro? I think Balatro. Yeah, Balatro. Have you playing that?
Oh, no, 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 no. What's Balatra?
It's like a card game that like everyone's been playing. It's got like 10 out of 10s all over the place. You can play on your phone. I figured you'd be playing that. I'm
Oh,
still I very
yeah.
rarely whip out this word, but I have to whip out this word for you. I'm flabbergasted that you so to set this up for the audience, me and Preston were talking a while ago, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I can't get over how Raid Shadow Legends was so addicting." I'm like, Preston, you played You're not supposed to play Raid Shadow
I know,
Legends. You
man.
do the promo and that's it. You're not supposed to
Mm-hmm.
play it. You're like, I can't
Mm-hmm.
get over how addicting that was. How can you sit there and play Raid Shadow Legends, but you won't play?
Preston discovering actors in one thing, also play characters in another thing. No, this is obviously like this isn't just like so there is a big difference between um just like naming something that one person was in and another thing. Like I can't be like, oh, like I turn on the movie Hitch with Will Smith, and I can't be like, well, it's the it's the Welcome to Earth guy like hitting on Eva Perez, and you're like, no, that doesn't really work because Will Smith is like known for a million different roles. I can't just like call him that, right? I can maybe call him the Fresh Prince, because there's certain roles that you're famous for that's you become that you're that embody you for a long time. So like if you want to say that like the you remember the movie The Prestige? If you want to say like, oh, The Prestige is the movie where Batman faces off against Wolverine, that's funny joke because like both of those actors became the embodiment of those characters and they became famous. You start saying Batman, you think Christian Bale, you think Wolverine, you think Hugh Jackman. So when you say like, oh man, there's a movie where Batman and Wolverine do magic at each other, like fuck, that's fucking funny, right? Like because sometimes a character is so influential that it like just takes over. It takes the character over, and they'll never get beyond that. And I'm trying to like, I mean, in a sense, like, um, Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction. It's been very difficult for him to get over that, like that role. That's become like what Sam Jackson is. While now, certainly Bella Ramsey, like after Last of Us, she'll probably get something else, and she'll be out of it. But like still for us in this community, she's Liana Mormon. It's just like Oberyn Martell. I mean, it's like it's very hard for in this community for us to get past the fact that Pedro Pascal is Oberyn Martell. Like it was just so striking. Now, it's now if you start saying, oh, I'd say outside of this community, you can't just go around calling Pedro Pascal Oberyn. People are going to be like, "What are you talking about?" But come on, at this point, in this community, yeah, it's Liana Mormont finger blasting somebody. Okay, so come on.
I'm not, guys. I'm not kidding. He said the word finger blast at least 5 times in like the
Funny
unedited
word, man.
version.
It's a funny
I
word.
I swear to
Okay, it's a
God.
funny word. It's a funny scene. Okay. I mean, I see. Here's the thing: is though about the Ellie thing. I haven't played the show. I haven't played the game. So when you say that she's badly cast, it doesn't like hold with me. Like it's like she seems pretty normal to me. Like,
So
is it?
so I'm so okay. I'm a short guy, right? But and Bella is shorter than me. I can't get over a 5'2" young woman chasing around like these grown ass men with a gun. with the gun, with this
Hmm.
face that she makes, and being all threatening. Because at this point in the game, Ellie is like a killer, and she just has like this like killer face to her. Like in the game, they did it like
Yeah.
perfectly. Here, it's kind of dopey. Like I can't.
Um. Oh, they. Sorry to be the pronoun, not mafia. Fine, fine. Bella Ramsey is they. I understand.
No. Bella Ramsey also said she doesn't care if you use she. So
Okay, okay. But she's playing someone that identifies as she, and Leanna Mormon was a she. So, but anyway, um, the fine. But I guess you have. I mean, I don't understand. Like, what aspect of Bella Ramsey is unrealistic in the show? You're saying she's too small?
it's just to me it's just bad. I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm not saying that at all. It's just to me it's just I don't think she's a great actress. Um, it's just no. It's not as bad as Keanu Reeves and Dracula, but
I don't know. I
you
mean,
know,
I think she does.
mm,
She does her. I mean, her role is like being angry at her dad and dealing with like being simultaneously insecure and trying to be a badass at once and stuff like that. I think my criticism of the show and the relationship is not Bella Ramsey. You know, I think I think they actually made her romantic interest way too fucking hot for her. To the point, and too manic pixie dream girl. Like she's just too perfect that you know like give the character a few flaws. I actually think even though obviously the what's the other character's name? Her
which
love
one?
interest,
Dina?
Dina. Like obviously this is a great actress, beautiful woman, just stunning, like way too hot. Like what are you doing in a post-apocalyptic world? Okay, like there's just like no reason for you to be here, and then, and then you know there's no reason for you to be like flirting with the people that you are. Like they picked an actress that was way too hot for her role. There's just ridiculous. Like everyone in town should be in love with her. And then she's too perfect. She's always like making the right jokes and being funny and flirty all the fucking time. Like it's a little too much to me, you know. Like she's a little too perfect. She's too manic pixie dream girl, you know. Like of course the main character's going to fall in love with them. Of course. Like Jesus, wouldn't you?
So Preston is going by looks. I'm going by acting. I mean, again, let me just make this very clear.
I think all the acting is great. I don't. That's the thing is
I
I don't see
I think
it.
all the acting is great besides her. And to be fair, there have been worse people in these roles. Like for example, I don't think Tom Holland should have been in Uncharted. He was supposed to play an Indiana Jones type figure. I don't think he's way too young looking. He does not strike me as Nathan Drake. Johnny Depp as Tonto in that in
Hmm.
that film. I thought that was bad. Guys, there have been multiple the Lone Ranger. There have been multiple actors who should not be in roles. I think this is one of them because I just don't think she's a good actress. I think everybody else is great, but her.
Yeah. I disagree. I don't see Pedro as Oberyn any more than I see Momoa as Khal Drogo. I see Pedro Momoa in other roles. Bella is Bella though. It's kind of it's a little true in that we do have Mandalorian, but he did have the helmet. Um, some people watch Narcos, and so he's gonna be in that and things like that. Obviously, Momoa is Aquaman and all sorts of stuff. So he's kind of grown beyond Khal Drogo, and he doesn't look like he. Khal Drogo had a particular look with that goatee and his hair in a certain way and stuff like that. But
That's actually a
Pedro
good point,
Pedro
huh?
Pascal still kind of looks like Oberyn Martell. Like it's not like you know
But he's played so many iconic roles at this point.
he
It's
does,
in
but
his
he still
past.
sports a mustache and he still you know his roles. Pedro Pascal's roles. Um, it's funny because I mean I'm contradicting myself because I'm about to be like a lot of them are kind of Oberyn like because he's usually you know charming, except for Mando and Last of Us. But those are the two that actually like are not in the Pedro Pascal um, stereotype role. But
Logan
I don't
was
know.
complaining about him being Mr. Fantastic. I don't know much about the Fantastic Four. I know you and Logan do, but is it? You guys were telling me how Mr. Fantastic is kind of a douche, and you can't see Pedro playing the douche character.
He's far well. It's a very funny thing about Fantastic Four. So Fantastic Four, yeah, like Reed Richards is a dickhead. He's super arrogant. He's super smart. He's kind of a jerk to his wife. Like you
Wait.
know,
Is the best representation of Reed Richards? Is he supposed to be like House?
no.
Okay,
I think actually the representation they had in the Jessica Alba movies is okay.
he was like a
Um,
nerdy, like nice
yeah,
guy.
he's like nerdy. He's arrogant. Um, if they made him a little more arrogant, I think he was actually a little insecure in the Jessica Alba movies. Um, but the idea is you kind of don't like Reed Richards. He's like he's at best your dad that's cramping your style, which is why everybody that reads Fantastic Four is reading it for Ben and Johnny. Like Ben and Johnny are the heart of the comic book, and you're reading for them because they are damn interesting. Johnny just being arrogant, flyboy, and Ben being just the. I mean, he's the guy that you're following because he's just so uh, torn up inside, So, and then, I mean, Invisible Woman has always been poorly written, but it's too bad. But yeah, that's for the most part. I mean, and I was I was actually a huge Fantastic Four comic book reader growing up. Really big. It was probably after Spider Man, and before like it became hooked on X books. Like I was reading Spider Man, Fantastic Four, and then X Men kind of hit and took over as like the comic book X Men, X Force, X Factor, But I was very big on Fantastic Four.
Mr. Wumbo asks, "Do you equate the Wayne brothers to the role in White Chicks?" I equate them more to their roles in Scary Movie,
Oh,
where
definitely. Well, definitely.
yeah, they're great in Scary Movie.
Yeah. Almost, especially Marlon, in that movie. You know.
Oh, by the way, to get a little controversial here, I think right now the next worst casting we're gonna have, and for all the wrong reasons, in HBO shows is the guy that got to play Snape in Harry Potter. He's way too good looking. Snape is supposed to be just like a slimy looking douchebag, and the man who played him before, whose name escapes me, was way better. So prepare for that one, Preston. Prepare for that one.
I'm trying to think of like. I mean, it's funny because the where the Pedro Pascal is. Yeah, I think Pedro Pascal is very. I mean, I think he's very charming. You love to watch him. He's not Reed Richards, but this is the thing: is you kind of have a source material where you think like they have to fit that source material, and like okay, Missandei, bring it all the way back, bring it a full fucking circle, okay? Missandei in the show is nothing like Missandei in the books. And it's like, do you consider that bad casting? Carmine.
Oh, is that a question?
That's a question to
Directed
you.
at me or the
I
audience
don't,
or both?
yeah, borderline rhetorical. But yeah, do you consider Missandei bad casting?
No.
And Missandei, she's, and the Missandei actress did a great job in what they made Missandei into. But she is nothing like
But I
Missandei in
think
the
they
books.
cast her for the same reason they recast the Tommen actor. They just don't like working with kids. Like
Well, sure,
you
yeah.
couldn't escape that for the first few seasons of Thrones when most of the cast was very young. But if they could help it, they would rather not work with children again because of all the crazy stuff that has to be done in front of them and yada yada.
Mm.
So Yeah.
Yeah, just aging and everything. I get it. If you have a chance, I mean, any chance you can to cast someone older, any chance you can have to cast somebody of color, like you're gonna take it, right? Um, the so why? But you seem kind of hung up on the fact that like she's not like she is in the game.
It's just, again, like playing the game and watching her grow from like going from like a little girl to like an older woman who has been through so much. There doesn't seem to be much of a change with Bella Ramsey. And like facial expression wise, there doesn't seem to be a lot there. I'm just not sold. I'm like
Mm.
I was sold. Like the first episode, Last of Us season one. I was sold that Pedro is Joel, despite them having being different ethnicities. I was sold because Pedro is such a great actor. With Bella, I'm just not sold. I wasn't really sold on her as Liana Mormont either. Like she did a good job. Here's the thing: she did a good job
because
in the first
because I
in
I had
season
a lot of
six.
ideas about who Liana Mormont was based on that Raven.
No, she did a good job in season six, but beyond that, the novelty wore off. Like, oh, she's so cute and feisty. Like, okay, that's enough now. So,
um, I mean, I don't know. Again, I didn't play the video game, so like when I see Bella Ramsey's character, it does work for me in the sense that like she has to be a character that it's a horrible situation that they're putting it in because like the character on the one hand has to be helpless enough that Joel feels like he needs to protect them, but they have to be strong enough that they can actually go out there and murder 100 people at once. And how do you do that with a character? Helpless enough that Joel has to be her protector, her daddy protector, but dangerous enough that she can go and kill 100 people. And so, you know, Bella Ramsey, she's played her as a troubled teen, a little bit crazy, um, insecure but angry. She's doing what she can with that very difficult to put the screen dichotomy. Um, so I don't know. I think she's I thought she's done. I think she's done a good, believable job. With
Captain Toast here answers your question with a gun. Fair, and in the games, she kills many more people. But also, to be fair, in the games, depending on how you choose to play it, she has the jump on 99% of the fights. Like she comes across a patrol and she can ambush the shit out of them, and you at playing as Ellie can like plan ahead of and do that. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, like it's just like your channel here said the game presented a better Ellie. It's not that complicated. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
mm.
It's pretty much where I'm at.
Hey Preston, or should I say Ahmed? Would you say your trip to the Middle East was more the Lawrence of Arabia or Team America? Did you destroy Cairo? Well, my Muslim name is Ibrahim, but rather than Ahmed. But I would say that I don't know, like Lawrence of Arabia. So it depends. Like, do you mean like the movie Lawrence of Arabia, like how Peter O'Toole plays him, which is really, I mean, Lawrence of Arabia is one of my favorite movies. It's an incredible movie. Um, and have you seen it, Carmine? Lawrence of
No, I have
Arabia.
not. I have not. No, I know
Oh.
what it's about, but
Um, it's just a beautiful, beautiful fucking movie. Um, he's, but especially the scene at the end where he's walking through the canyon and the women call come out and start Zagarit. They start doing ululation. It's just this fucking incredible movie. Um, but he had this weird relationship with the Middle East where he fell in love with it. Where he's like, oh, it's so beautiful, the desert and all of that. It's like I think the Middle East is beautiful, but I don't think it's I didn't fall in love with it like that. Some people really do. Like they're like, oh, I got to get out to the desert. I got to go camping in the desert. I know people like this. They're like, oh, I've got to go out and see some dunes. You're like, okay, that's fine. um, But I don't have that love affair with the Middle East. I think the Middle East is very beautiful, and I think there's a lot of things that are really interesting about it. But I don't. It was never something that just like I'm just enwrapped. I'm not like obsessed with like some people. Um, and Cairo, it's funny because Cairo is its own beast. It almost feels like it's not the Middle East because Cairo is Cairo. It's just such a loud, uh, just in your face city and in your face people. But but that's uh, so I don't know, but definitely not really like Team America either. Because man, if I could go in and you feel so small there because you're so helpless. Everything you're so helpless to so many things, to so much chaos. Team America, they're destroying shit right and left. Um, Gee, let's see. All right. I'm quickly going over some things here. Um, Geez. Well, I'm being educated right here. So he says, "What's your take on Michael J. Uh, Straczynski and his impact on 1980s TV cartoons, 1990s sci-fi, and 2000s Marvel, especially Spider-Man and the MCU?" So, background to people for people. Michael Straczynski, he apparently produced He-Man and She-Ra in the 80s and worked to create an animated ElfQuest movie. And then he worked on the real Ghostbusters.
Ooh.
Then in the 90s, he worked on Babylon 5 and Crusade. And then in the 2000s, he worked on Marvel Comics. Um, and then he started screenwriting and he wrote Jesus. It's just all over. I mean, it says he's involved with Thor. He was one of the key writers for the movie Thor in 2011, Underworld Awakening. I mean, it's very varied, very varied career. I mean, and all over the place. Like, I mean, it's funny because like when you say like He-Man and She-Ra, that's very simple, dumb toy selling. And then you're talking like something very expansive and intricate like Babylon 5, where there's a lot in there. And then um, I haven't read his comic books because I was out of comics by the year 2000, so I don't know his run of Spider-Man. Um, Keep in mind that like when I read Spider-Man, Venom was a new thing. Like Venom, like I have issue 300, like I have issue 298, and important things for Spider-Man people. But like, I don't know anything about when people are like, oh, the the Ben Riley saga and stuff like that. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, really. I mean, I've heard about it secondhand, but I wasn't reading then. So, but I mean, it's interesting dude all over the place. I can't imagine. I didn't know about him. I didn't know about him at all. Um, anyway, Carmine, any last things? Okay. I see somebody's thing saying, please, 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 audiobook for The Dreams of Ghosts and Indians. mean, I'll probably eventually get around to it. It's I just a few a bunch of other things on the on the plate, and it takes a while. It takes a while to. I recorded it once, and it's just like going back and doing it again. And I did it once, but I didn't necessarily on an earlier version, so it's been like changed. And I don't know if I like really put in full emotion. Even the one I put up the chapter one sample, like it's not like I did that fully great, And there's a lot of characters that have foreign accents, and I don't do foreign accents for all of them, and so it's just like I don't know what to do on it. Some people are like, oh, hire voice actors and stuff, but I know how it's how most people consume books now, so I really
It
should. But
really, it really truly is. I can't tell you how many people have told me that they've never read Ice and Fire. They've heard it from that one guy that does the audio recordings on YouTube with the cats in the background. I forgot his
oh yeah,
name.
yeah, David Reed's
David
David Reed's
Reed's ass.
also
Have
Ice and
David do
Fire.
it.
David Reed's. It's amazing to think like that guy. Um, because he does do a really good job. I mean, he's no Road to Treese, but
By the way, real quick, I know
yeah,
you said you've never get with an MCN. So I hit up my MCN and I'm like, hey, if I did what David does, would I get ripped for that? They're like, yeah, don't do that. Like I don't know if David has his stuff monetized and maybe he can get away
he
with it
does
because
he
he's such
does
a
not.
professional.
That's
Oh,
one of the
good, 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 good.
reasons that he's. I mean, the fact that he did it on his own and it's not monetized is one of the reasons why like it hasn't been taken down. But it's
Yeah, HBO will
he
come after. Not HBO, but like I
he
think
could. I mean, at any point, someone could take it down. It's true.
hmm,
He's still doing Clan of the Cave Bear. Um,
no idea what that is. But you should I think you should do an audiobook for it. But at the same time, the time and effort, I mean,
it's hard.
sunk cost fallacy. Hiring someone to do it,
Yeah, I know.
it's one of those things.
Yeah, yeah. But it's pretty amazing when you think about how many people have listened to his thing now. I mean, each of them has about. I'm trying to think his story. Each of his 80,000, somewhere between 50 and 80,000 of a ton of stuff. I wonder if I get back to a Game of Thrones like at the beginning, how many people started and then just quit. But but yeah, yeah, it's tough.
I've
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
always wanted to do like a reread like that for Patreon or YouTube memberships, but again, my MCN was like, yeah, don't do that. They will come after you for that. Do not do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like even for free on like a separate channel, yeah, don't do that. So
yeah, yeah. Um, mm, mm, mm. Any last things you want to talk about before I head to bed, Caroline?
Smitty put on a good point. Press already narrated several of Thousand World stories. Yeah, but no offense, who fucking cares about Thousand Worlds? No one's making money on that, so there's no point. Like Amber actually recently messaged me about this because
Yeah,
some company came after her, like trying to claim one of her videos. And I basically told her, well, what you can do is fight it back, which may open you up to a court battle. Now, 99.9999% of the time, they'll probably just let it go because no court battle is worth all that money just to get back a couple of cents in hindsight.
yeah.
So that's kind of what would happen. I mean, plus,
So yeah, it's true that Star Lady and In the House of the Worm, I read, I did the audiobook for, um, and did I even do it? Did I do In the House of the Worm on my own channel, or I might have not even done it on my own channel. Star Lady, I did, and it's like, and yeah, it's monetized, and no one came after it. No one's come after it in like 8 years, but at the same time, it's fucking Star Lady. Like no one cares. I, um, but yeah, I did In the House of the Worm too. but no, no one cares about these like really minor stories. Oh well. Um,
What's funny is that like in regards to copyright claims and stuff, I've learned that if you message them, they'll retract it. Like for example, HBO claimed like a video from 5 years ago for some reason, and
mm,
I had my MCN message like email HBO like, hey, can you take this down? They did it. I saw the email. They contacted HBO, and a week later, HBO was like, all right, fine, and they released it. So
yeah,
like,
yeah,
what's the point, guys? Like, what's the fucking point?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that like a lot of it has to do with like how big, um, whether someone cares. So the publisher of a Game of Thrones makes a lot of fucking money. They could go after David Reed's. That's a significant amount of money. They're probably like, you know, not some people are going there rather than buying the audiobook, right? And listening to him. Absolutely. How many people are seeking out Star Lady and would have purchased Star Lady um, rather than listening to me on YouTube? Zero. There are zero people in the world that are trying to buy Star Lady and that are like, aha, I'm not spending my money. And so no one's gonna like spend the time to be like, I own the rights to Star Lady, Penguin Books or whatever, and seek out
I
Star
think
Lady.
I think the uncomfortable question I almost don't want to bring up, but we should probably talk about now is: would you be okay? Because you've sold a decent amount of books, but of course you could
Hmm.
always sell more. Would you be okay with someone buying Dream of Ghosts and Indians, recording it, putting it on YouTube for free, or would you rather like make that money through Audible?
I mean, it's a tough thing. I'd have to think about like if it's. I mean, I think if it were done well, I wouldn't mind. Right? Like if it were done well, um, it's kind of weird. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. But again, like get voice actors for all the roles. Get a Dutch guy for the role of Yoris. Get a get um, a Cree Indian girl for the part of Key. It'd be tough. Get a get
But at the
a
same
Incan.
time, though, I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not doing it yourself because these are people who are your fans and they kind of want to come to listen
I
to
know,
you.
I know, I know. It's just it's it's very hard to. I mean, it's these daunting things. You're like, oh fuck, like oh, can you record something that's like 8 hours long? Like, do you like that's not just 8 hours of my time. That's like you stop and you redo stuff. Oh, did I have too many clicks in my mouth when I did that? Like, how did that sound? Like, there's a lot of that goes into it. Um, Redoing things over and over again. But yeah, yeah. Um, you need the official A Song of Ice and Fire audiobooks to hear Arya develop a completely different accent halfway through the series. Yeah, Danny does too. Danny goes from having the same voice as Ned to having she eventually gets the Arya voice. The Dance with Dragons, he chooses a different voice for Dance with Dragons. Brienne changes voices too. A lot of them change voices
What's funny
throughout.
about the Game of Thrones actors, Gwendolyn Christie, Brienne, and Sean Bean as Ned, they have amazing voices. They could play their own
Hmm.
characters. I would be okay with that. But would I be cool with Maisie Williams being Arya? No, please get someone else for that.
Who the fuck has clicks in their mouth? No, this happens a lot. So when you're recording, like, um, it's just how the microphone works. It picks up these little clicks, these little saliva things that happen when your throat opens and closes and all sorts of things. Um, and so there's different things you can do, like lemon water and stuff like that to create more saliva. But people that do audio work, they talk about it all the time, the little clicks. I will say that programs like Ecamm and I think even Discord like remove it, and I'm sure there's like expensive software and expensive equipment that does it, but you know, but yeah, the mouth clicks is very common things for
Uh, there's something. Wait, before you scroll down at the very top, see Nuke Marine. Preston could just claim the video right there.
for revenue sharing. It stays up. It's monetized. That's true.
Please don't do that. Please don't like ever copyright claim anybody because we hate it when it's done to us, and I don't want us to
Oh
be. I don't
yeah,
want
no,
you to be a
yeah, yeah,
hypocrite.
I know, I know, I know.
So
Yeah, yeah. The years and years and years ago, the when I think I put up somebody had done a recording of um Men of Greywater Station, and I put it up on YouTube, and the guys like sent me an email saying, "Hey, uh, I thought this was really disrespectful. Like we put a lot of time into like this, and I took it down. Yeah, but they didn't copyright claim it. They like sent me an email saying like, "Hey,
that was
what you
kind of
know?"
them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, yep, yep. Okay, well, I am going to head to bed. Thank you, Carmine, for being with me. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Wait, hold on. I'm
Yep,
not trying to be a dick, but you only been on for like. Oh, never mind. You started early. Never mind. I thought
2 hours 46 minutes,
get tired already.
longer than
Fuck.
last week.
Yeah.
But I don't have to do like these 3 hour things. But anything interesting this week, Carmine? Are there any good shows that are coming out after Last of Us ends?
I'm thinking about doing a last late to the party. There's a show that I'm actually finally catching up on. I don't want to mention what it is because I know if I mention what it is, some asshole's gonna give us spoilers, or you can't control yourself and you're gonna spoil it for me. But
Have you heard of this
um,
Pantheon? Pantheon? You want to watch
no, I have
Pantheon?
not. What is that?
Somebody
An animated
recommended it tonight.
show on AMC?
I think it's on Netflix now.
Hmm? Pantheon. Where mind uploading technology on the verge of mass adoption follows at this. So is Ghost in the Shell prequel? Interesting. I've not heard of this. Oh, it came out like 2 years ago. Hmm. Or might still have a Google Drive link in his Discord. No, I deleted those videos. They're gone. Didn't want to take the chance.
Uh-huh.
YouTube cracking down on that stuff. God, I love those videos though. So much money. Yes, Nuke Marine. Foundation is out. I would love for Preston to watch Foundation. Foundation to me is like what Mrs. Davis was to you, homie. It's so good.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. All right, guys. I will see you next time, and hopefully we'll find some good shows to watch here, talk about. But
Ironheart.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye.